I am muted. Wow, that was a real treat for all of us there for a second. That was the first, actually, surprisingly. Welcome, podcast listening people, to another edition of B2B Mentors. I have a great guest interview for you today. Don't forget, you can find the podcast on all of your favorite podcast apps. And by the way, please share this. If not only for you, I guarantee you there's someone else in your network that's going to get great value out of this content, because I'm bringing you for free top industry influencers, business celebrities, experts, and my favorite part, real practitioners when it comes to, branding, business development, leadership, B2B marketing, all that good stuff. And as always, I've got the best of the best for you. And, one of my friends here, Brian Harrington, who is a partner in Kevin Harrington Enterprises. He owns, operates, and regularly consults with dozens of companies, including Fortune 500, top influencers and thought leaders in today's brightest business minds. And I'm humbled and honored you would include me in that category too, my friend. I mean,
Right.
it's such an honor. Brian has extensive experience in, retail marketing industry, electronic retail marketing. Brian has been involved in dozens of physical and digital product launches, reaching sales of well over at this point, since you've written this, $100 million, and currently sells dozens of products through both online marketing and brick and mortar. So with that, my friend, welcome to the show. Good to see you. And, I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you. It's funny. I thought you were going for the lip reading audience there when you started. So
I know
that one out.
I started ventriloquism recently, so I thought it would start coming out of your mouth and you would start talking, and then you'd have my voice, and we'll just do the whole podcast that way. And
I like it. I like it. Ventriloquism. That's a fun hobby. I like it.
Yeah. So dude, it's kind of cool because, like, you and I have had this opportunity to build a relationship over the last couple years, and you and your dad are just absolute monsters when it comes to advising businesses and stepping in and growing them and scaling them, and you yourself too, like your business acumen is far advanced where many others are at your age. And so I want to understand from you, where did you start really in the world of business, and what was the evolution there that got you to where you're at in your career today?
Man, I'll try to keep this one short, but it's funny. I always call myself this infomercial child star because growing up, my dad's been in the infomercial business his whole life, or not his whole life, but my whole life. And growing up, he used to throw me in his infomercials, and I would be like the little kid eating cheeseburgers, trying the cooking product and cleaning product and this and that. All my friends would always come to me, "Hey, I saw you in an infomercial last night." So that was kind of cool. And I really, like, from there, always wanted to work with my dad, always wanted to be in this infomercial business. So after I graduated college, I was, throughout college, I talked to my dad pretty much every day, trying to, kind of see what's going on in the business, and always kind of had that mind open. And after I graduated, I was like, all right, I went to college in Pennsylvania. My dad lived in Florida, had his company down there. I was like, all right, I'm moving down to Florida. I'm going to come work with you. And he's like, nope, you're not. You got to go do something on your own. So I started, I actually got a job at a corporate job. And, just quickly, I was like, I still want to work with you, Dad. Like, if finally about a year in, he's like, all right, now's the time if you want to really learn the business. So I moved down to Florida, and I got hot and heavy into the infomercial business, the as seen on TV world. And this was back in, I think, like 2011 or so, 2011, 2012. So I learned everything about the infomercial business. So everything from production and product sourcing and manufacturing and logistics, shooting of the infomercials, marketing, all the numbers associated with it. And I was a quick learner, and I've been around it for my whole life. And I really became, really good in understanding how infomercials and how to sell products through direct response marketing. The problem was, and at that time, my dad owned AsSeenOnTV.com. The problem was, is we saw the infomercial world, just going like this. The eyeballs just weren't there. So it was
What time did that start to happen?
this, I mean, probably 2012, 2013, like pretty much maybe a year, half a year within. Like I said to my dad, I'm like, Dad, like what's wrong with this industry now? Because we started to see the numbers change on asseenontv.com, and decrease because people just weren't watching as much TV. So we then got hot and heavy into selling products online also at that time. So really it was kind of a lot of Google then, and then once Facebook opened their advertising platform, we got into the Facebook world, and then obviously things changed so quickly and new platforms arise like Instagram and and YouTube and TikTok now and all of that. So we just followed the eyeballs. The good thing for me is that I understood the basics of direct response marketing from television, and really now it's really the same means of marketing, just to different platforms that you utilize, but the numbers are the same. How you capture people's attention, how you bring them through your system and your funnel, and you upsell and cross sell and and nurture the the back end of the relationship with the customer, and just following the eyeball. So we're doing a lot of that, and still I kind of break our business now up into like a 50-50 world. 50% is selling products through direct response marketing and retail distribution. Second 50% is our investment advising side of the world, where we invest and advise early stage companies and whether they're private or public, in all different kinds of categories and industries and whatnot. So it's been a fun ride, and really got really a deep dive into how to capture people's attention. Because think about it, if you're watching TV and now if you're scrolling through your feed on Facebook, you're not looking to buy a product, you're not looking to buy something or whatever it is. Like, you're looking at the news, you're looking at your programming, you're looking at pictures of your friends and your family and all that stuff. We need to capture people's attention. We need to bring them to a specific place where we want them to take action, and typically that's to buy something. So thinking about all of the steps in that process to make that happen, I figured it out at an early age. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, dude, you and I were so similar in that sense too. And obviously, I mean, your dad, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, has done tons and tons of businesses over the years. But one thing that I really grew like as we got to know each other, and I respect the hell out of you, is like, he said kind of the same thing my dad did, is like, and my dad doesn't have near the amount of, size businesses as Kevin has built over the years, but no, you got to go figure this out. You got to go put the work in and do this yourself, learn the skills. Then maybe I'll bring you in something on like an entry level, position, and then just like grew from there as an intrapreneur. Right. Do you think, what are your thoughts on, like, do you think too many people who have made it basically just kind of handed over their children, and then that legacy and that acumen doesn't continue to build, and you just kind of don't continue to build the empire from there?
Well, I mean, I think there's probably a right way to do it, which is not just give them the keys to the kingdom, but teach them how to run the kingdom, right? And I mean, I think the thing, the difference on our side is that, like, our world, like the world that my dad lived in forever, when I first got into the business, was drastically different and was changing before our eyes. So it's not like, just handing the keys to the kingdom and running something that was already there. Like, we had to innovate and we had to change and we needed to figure stuff out because, I mean, listen, my dad's an old entrepreneur. He still doesn't really understand, how Facebook advertising and TikTok and all this stuff works. So we were trying to, we were all kind of figuring this out together at the same time. So, and then also, like, simultaneously, he being on Shark Tank was a game changer for the business because, we were never, we never had this like family office, private equity type model. It was always, let's launch and sell products. And then when Shark Tank came along and all of a sudden he started getting thousands and thousands of pitches on a monthly basis, to invest in their business or to help them grow this other business that may not have been a product. So, so then we also kind of figured that side of things out too. We had a lot of good success, a lot of money lost along the way also. So, it's, when I kind of came into the, into business with him, it wasn't just, hey, here are the keys to the kingdom, but we have to kind of figure some of this stuff out together because the world has changed so quickly. The as seen on TV world, really had its, rug swept on, swept from under the feet, and we needed to figure out what we were going to do next, as a group ourselves. I think to more directly answer your question, like I do think that learning, and it's like that old adage, like you give a man a fish, feed him for the night, teach him how to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's just so important, right? I think that, when I first started working with my dad, I started, started at the bottom. I learned everything. I went into different departments and I learned everything about every single aspect of the business so that, I knew everything that was going on. And ultimately, like, it was for me, it was second nature. Like, but
You had this natural
yeah,
like curiosity about it. Like I can tell you're like that to this day too. Is just you have a very genuine natural curiosity of just about the world, about business, how things operate.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's key. I think that's definitely key. And so like, back to on the direct advertising side, I'm sure a lot of people are interesting to get some of the insights. First off, is direct advertising in itself in the current state, is that dying? Is it dead? Is it really more of like a brand build play nowadays? I mean, you guys advise some massive companies, have ownership in some major CPG brands. What are you seeing on that front?
I don't think direct advertising will ever be dead. It just the eyeballs are gonna go to different platforms, and
Mm,
and the way you need to attack people may be different. But absolutely not. I mean, I think now you kind of need to be smarter and more creative, because there's so much out there in the world. I mean, there's scroll through Facebook and scroll through it, Instagram and TikTok, and you'll see a million different videos and people trying to sell you something. So you need to be very creative, and content is extremely important, and how you create your content is extremely important.
mm.
um it'll never be dead though.
Is it longer? Like those sales cycles seem to be longer because you have to show up that much more. You have to stand out, and people are more skeptical to just go and buy anything and everything nowadays. They do a lot of homework, even
Right.
though they see your ad and then maybe see it again 3-4 months later. Like, has that adapted at all or changed or not so
Yeah, for
much?
sure. I mean, listen, I think that's always kind of been there, also. I mean, you will get the percentage of people, who will, take action first time seeing something. But you definitely need to have, and really curate this nice funnel process and sequence that that hits people multiple times, and your online reputation is extremely important, whether it's a product, service, brand, whatever it is, because people Google, they go to Amazon, they research, they look at reviews, and having that funnel where you're hitting them, multiple times in multiple places, and having, really like the 360 marketing approach, I think, definitely is extremely important. Sometimes you get those products and services that are just outliers that you put out there and they just take off like a bat out of hell right away. Those are far few in between. So being creative and understanding the process and the automation and the funnels is extremely important. 100%.
Yeah. Are you doing, well, first off, you mentioned that 360 marketing approach. What do you mean by that exactly? Like dive into that a little bit.
I mean, I think it's just having a strategy for all platforms and diversifying your marketing efforts. Because I mean, listen, you could be having huge success on Facebook or Instagram. In today's world on those platforms, like, and this has happened to us. The last thing you want is for your Facebook account to get shut down, and then you can't advertise there. So what are you going to do? Like, having diversification in marketing, being on 4 or 5 plus different platforms where you're generating traffic and sales and exposure is extremely important. And plus it's also important too because people are everywhere also. I don't know about you, but you know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I Google, and if all of a sudden I see, an ad from Connor that pops up on all these platforms,
You
like,
immediately
that's
scroll
interesting.
right past that shit. You're just like, not
I'm
again.
like,
My
who's
God.
this guy? Yeah, yeah. No, but it's very, it's very important to kind of be everywhere and to be like omnipresent. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think people, sometimes lack the thought of diversifying, because if something's working very well for them, they think it's going to continue, and it
Mm.
doesn't. It doesn't always last forever. So
But on the flip side of that, and I'm sure you've seen this with some companies, is they're pressing too hard in the beginning to create that omnipresence, but they haven't even gotten one channel actually working for them first, getting that consistent and then scaling out. Like, do you see that as an issue a lot of the time?
I'm about testing, right? I'm
Mm,
a big believer in testing and testing so many different things. So I honestly, whenever we go to launch an initiative, we go everywhere, and I'm not talking like huge budgets, or I mean, you don't need to start with huge budgets to, especially now with digital. I mean, you could run a Facebook ad for, $100 a day, $50 a day, even less, right? um so I do think it's important to kind of launch out there with the best effort, and sure, I mean, especially if you have, limited resources, focusing on the areas that are working. But for us, I mean, we typically kind of launch everywhere when we launch something.
yeah. Obviously, the as seen on TV, the framework isn't necessarily like gone, because the same framework that works successfully applies in some ways to other channels, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. And so, for those who are like, okay, well, what is that secret sauce? Like, what is that framework to developing a great digital advertising slash pitch that will get people interested, minimally interested, but also purchasing from us? What would you say that framework is?
I think, first, it's starting with the good content to capture people's attention and bring them in, right? So, you
Pause
know,
on that. Pause on that real quick. What makes good content?
it depends on the product or service, and that's changed over the years. Like nowadays, we're
Mm,
doing a lot of like user generated style videos and testimonial videos that
mm,
that kind of build social proof. But it depends. It depends on the product or service. I think something. It also depends on the platform. Like we create content for different platforms. Like a TikTok, like it's you have to create opening hooks and different things to capture people's attention. um on Facebook, and we use different type of videos that could tell a longer story sometimes. So it depends on the platform, depends on the product or service. But I think really just capturing people's attention, and quickly being able to show them, you know it's tough to say it before and after because I'm generally speaking, but show them a problem solving solution to a problem that they're having. And that could be, if you're selling a cleaning product, that could be that you leave streaks on your countertop and this thing's better for that, right? Or if you're selling a SaaS project that that this is going to save you time and money and more efficient, or whatever it is. So making sure that your message is loud and clear, features, benefits, testimonials, social proof. But then bringing them to really an optimized website and or landing page. So this is kind of like the old school infomercial world, and there's a lot of things in that SEO and TV world that we use today that I'm actually surprised a lot of other marketers don't do. But a lot of people use the landing pages and sales sites and all that stuff. And having that optimized in a way where it's easy for people to understand, doesn't give them too many courses of action. It shows the befores, the afters, the testimonials, the features, benefits. It's a very hard hitting, sales page that explains the product or service, and brings people through the process of ultimately buying or signing up or whatever it is. And one big area that we've done forever in the SEO and TV world, that some people do today, but not everyone, which I'm surprised about, is the upselling process, right? Because getting a lead or getting a customer is expensive. If you have a $15 product or a $50 product, I mean, let's just say if you have a $20 product, like it may cost you 10, 20, 30, $40 to get that customer. So obviously if you have a $20 product that costs you $20, minus your acquisition cost, your customer service, your processing, your cost of goods, like you're obviously not making money on that. But then the upselling is where the key for our success is that, okay, you have a $20 product, but at the end of the day, the customer is walking away, spending 50, $60 on that order. So that's something that has been extremely important in the SEO and TV world that kind of translated to the digital world for us, is that the upselling process, the post-purchase upselling, is extremely, extremely important. Those one-time only offers. And now one of the really important areas is really like cultivating the relationship with the customer, because they will buy more. Especially if you have a brand or you have a beauty product or you have some type of continuity based business, they will buy more. So, developing that relationship through emails, through text, through video, through, other ways of developing a relationship with the customer is extremely important and will pay dividends, and the lifetime value of the customer, is really the ultimate goal, to increase as much as possible.
What are some great either examples or frameworks you've seen in businesses that are cultivating great relationships with their customers successfully? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, for example, this company, New Image Medical, which is
Mm.
a telehealth, telepharmacy selling prescription medication
Woo!
for, for healthcare, for health purposes, to treat erectile dysfunction, weight loss, hair loss, other things. The model is interesting because it's a subscription based business. So you have to, go through a telehealth process to get the prescription from a doctor. And the products are unique, and I don't need to necessarily go into that, but the way that company really has extreme growth potential is because once a customer signs up, they're not just going to buy the erectile dysfunction drug once. If they like it, which we know they like it because the product is so great, they're going to buy it for years.
Yeah.
The weight loss program, it's an extreme weight loss program that provides rapid, amazing results. And we know once you experience those results, you're going to want to continue to experience those results. So it's not a one and done, thanks for your order, but we're trying to develop the relationship with the customers that they could be customers for life. And then also cross sell, into other types of products, because they may want to lose weight, but they also may need help with erectile dysfunction, or they may be having thin hair,
And
or
that could be
you
a
know
affiliate partner product in some cases. Like, do you do
yeah, I
you
mean, we
do
don't
you
do
ever
that for
identify that,
we
or
don't do that with New Image, but it could be.
in some
um
cases? Because some
yeah,
people may be like, well, I got my one core. It doesn't make sense to kind of have additional vertical or product lines to what I do. By the way, people are like, why is Connor wooing? Well, that's because you guys have Rick Flair, right?
Ric
Is that
Flair,
his
yeah.
Rick Flair, who like that's like his brand is just woo, and you've done some commercials with
Yeah,
him
we
and stuff
create some
like that.
badass
So
commercials with him.
they are hilarious. They're
Yeah,
so funny. Brandon showed me a ton of them. Like some of the behind the scenes stuff is so funny.
yeah.
Well, so before we do wrap up, I do want people to understand, like, in the advisory world, what you do on the advisory side of the business. Talk about what that looks like, because that pretty much is your bread and butter business nowadays, right? And between you and Kevin is the advisory business, right?
I think it's still kind of 50-50. But the advisory side of things, is cool because we get to see a lot of cool different companies.
Mm.
And every business, every entrepreneur has different, hurdles and struggles to reach the next level. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge and resources. Sometimes it's lack of capital. Sometimes it's lack of relationships. Whatever it may be, there's a lot of great companies and entrepreneurs out there, who are looking to grow, looking to get to the next level. And we get a lot of people coming to us, like, we get a lot of people coming to us looking for help. We invest in a lot of deals. We don't always invest. Sometimes we invest and advise. Sometimes we don't invest and we just advise. Sometimes when we invest, it kind of changes the relationship of the situation. It makes it about the money rather than the scale and the growth and the help. But every deal is different. So that side of the world is cool because we have a great network. We have a great Rolodex of people, and a lot of times it's there's a couple things holding people back. There, like I said, there are those lack of relationships. There's a lack of capital. I mean, we've helped companies raise almost $1 billion, maybe even more at this point. And that's the fun, that's a real, like, I enjoy that side a lot because we work with some very innovative, great companies, with some great people behind it. And it's fun because if we could help, we're not only helping ourselves, but we're helping other people also fulfill their dreams and make a better life for them and their family. And have fun along the way. Like, because, whoever thought I would be, in a roofing business, for example. Like, we work with this company called RoofMax, which is a dealer network that rejuvenates your roof. It's don't replace your roof, rejuvenate it, through hundreds of dealers throughout the country. And it's just such an amazing business. And the fundamentals of that business, yes, it's in the roofing industry, but the fundamentals is marketing, right? A lot of things come down to what we know best is how to market, how to create, campaigns to bring in customers and to increase the brand awareness and to also bring in more dealers and, and all that stuff. It's a great team, at RoofMax specifically, but it's just enjoyable for us to work with so many great people and be able to help a lot of great companies.
Most of the time, is it the people that you're investing into, or is it the product and service that you're investing
Certainly
into?
a combination of both. I mean, I've gotten that question before, and I don't think it's just one, because you could have the best company in the world, but if the people aren't right, it's never going to go anywhere. And I've seen that many times, and vice versa. I mean, you could have great people, but is this really a company that we believe could scale? And we're not always right either. We lose more than we win, honestly, but it's those winners that make up for all the losers. So but it's definitely a combination of both. I mean, you need to have a good company with the right product, service, or offer that people want, but then you need the right team executing on it.
Does it
And that's
matter? Oh, go ahead.
we always say, like, you got to surround yourself with the right people too,
Yeah.
because even like the team behind RoofMax, very very smart group of people, but they realize, listen, it's better to have as many good people in our corner as possible, and they and they live by that method, and they've brought on amazing people around the company, both as partners or or employees or team members or consultants or whatever, like a combination of everything, because they realize that 1 + 1 + 1 equals 10. So having the right people is extremely important.
Yeah, what you guys have done so unique too, compared to a lot of investor or advisor, similar companies, is the portfolio of types of companies is so kind of very spread throughout. I mean, you have some in the B2B category, some in product category, some in, services. And I think it comes down to you guys truly know the fundamentals of what makes a business work, marketing, branding, whereas a lot of advisors and investors, maybe they know the operations business, they know how to invest, but the marketing side is just a complete phenomenon. Obviously, handful of $1 billion, valued companies you guys have built up, a even greater number of companies over 100 million. So it's super impressive. Anything else, we'll wrap up here, but anything else you want to share last minute with, marketers listening, entrepreneurs listening, whatever's top of mind for you?
Oh man, I think one of the big things, like I said, is for us in the marketing world, testing is key and not getting emotional over what your marketing messages and the campaigns that you are testing. Sometimes like things don't work the way you want them to work, and being able to pivot and not getting emotional over decisions that you make, whether they're right or wrong, is important. So no, I think that's good, Connor. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
And consider you my brother. I can't thank you enough for doing this. And even though I had to butter you up with a very nice, expensive steak and some whiskey to make it happen, like I'll do it time and time again,
Hey,
bro. Because
yeah.
you truly are a practitioner, and you're in it in the day to day. You're not an influencer out there like just speaking on stages or talking at a high level. I mean, you are in so many different businesses in the day to day. What would be the best way for people find you, follow you, get into contact with you? Maybe they want to get their business invested in. Maybe they want advisory. Maybe they want help in some form or fashion, or just want to follow what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see it on the screen here. I think that's on the screen, kevinharrington.tv. Feel free to go there, contact form. I mean, my email is Brian, BRIAN, at kevinharrington.tv. If anyone wants to reach out to me. So yeah, that's the place.
Cool. You heard it here first, folks. Go make sure you connect, follow. Brian's on all your favorite social media platforms as well. So make sure to go give him a follow there. And we'll see you guys on